No problem. Okay. I'll give you the last.
The kitties are back.
We do have a church service. It is during the Polish Festival, so remember you're not going to be able to get public transportation to get here, but we will be having a service at 10:30, not outside on the stage as we usually are during the Polish Festival, right in here in the comfort of the sanctuary. So I'll hope to see you again next Sunday as well. Nancy's going to lead us in our gathering songs as always. It's an anniversary of 9/11, but it's also an important moment, as every moment is, to talk about peace today. So we're going to sing all peace songs to begin with. Please stand if you're able, and Nancy will lead us in song.
Whoops, a daisy.
I don't know what it is right there. I'm going to stand here.
I don't know what that is at all.
welcome in this space. We're going to... Thank you, Jennifer. I said it's so important there.
Oops.
It's going to be that kind of day, folks. It really, really, really is. And you know what? I'm talking about forgiveness, so I'm going to start by just forgiving this whole thing that's happening. Wait. Sorry. No. There we go. So please say with me, if you choose, are welcome. And I'm going to just say also, if you do nothing else for your spiritual peace this week, if you can say these words and feel them in your heart, it will open yourself to a new walk with yourself and with others. This is what we hold as sacred. We hold as sacred the oneness of all people and all creation. We hold as sacred that there are many pathways to God. Christianity is one of them. The teachings of Jesus inspire us to love ourselves and others more greatly without shame or blame. We hold as sacred the power of community and prayer. We hold as sacred that love comes in many forms and supports anyone who is finding their own way to live out love in the world. We hold as sacred that we are loved, we matter, we are part of God's plan. We're going to do the passing of the peace. I shout out, the peace of God be with you. You yell back and also with you. Turn around, wave at the people who are journeying with you during this spiritual time today. The peace of God to be with you. Say hi to whoever's here with you today. Hi, everybody. And then you can be seated for the Roncesvalles News. I love what's going on in the back there. Have a seat. Thank you. Welcome back. Hello, Kayla. We are so happy to have our special guest with here today. She's been here before, so it's like old home week for you. Welcome back. If you're visiting for the first time, you are amongst some of the loveliest people you would ever have the chance to meet. We're not doing coffee and stuff after church because we have books at the back for next week. But hang around, say hi to me, say hi to other people. We are happy you're here, and we'd love to tell you more about what we're doing. Way to go, Flea Team. Kathy, hello. Matt, hello. The Fleas were wonderful this summer. What a great community event, as well as a fundraiser for our church. Thank you, Kathy, so much for what you did for us. There you go. And Joe can sell anything, by the way. The usual things. If you have minutes to spare after the church service and you can go down to the gym to help set up tables for the meal program, we are very grateful for that. Sit and Sing is after church today. Super casual. You don't have to know how to sing. Paul and Tim make everyone feel very, very welcome. And just come up here and sing. Roncy Jam is starting on 7:30 on Wednesday nights. Bring an instrument, bring a poem, bring anything you want. Hang out. Sean is excited. 7. Not 7:30? How about 7? How about 7 for 7:30? There you go. I told you, it's that kind of day. It is that kind of day today. Okay, come at 7, come at 7:30, whatever. They'll be happy to see you. It's a very, very fun event. Sunday School with Billy Jane starts today. Yay, Billy Jane. Not the moment yet. Okay, so we have 2 ways to do Sunday School this year. We haven't been getting a ton of our smaller children. So what we have done is we have set up in the middle room, it's easy to find if you go back through this door or ask Billy Jane where it is. For our very smallest kids, they're welcome to stay in the sanctuary for the whole thing. But if they want to go out, we have toys set up, we have coloring set up, and we have a little sign that tells you how to connect to our live stream, Wi-Fi and live stream. So you don't have to miss anything in the service. If you want to take your kids out, you can listen to the service and the kids can play. If they're a little bit older, they're going to be going out with Billy Jane, and she'll be telling us what she's doing in a minute. Carving Our Future. This is, I keep saying, an absolutely, we think, the first in the world event taking place in our parking lot next weekend during the Polish Festival. Artist Philip Cote, who made our beautiful mural, is going to be carving some of our old church pews into totems. It is a breathtaking statement about truth and reconciliation. Philip talks about how they were trees, they then became, a way to hold people up spiritually in this kind of venue, and now they're being carved into indigenous spiritual symbols. So be here. He'll be here, I think, between 11 and 5, and talk to Philip. He's an amazing person just to talk to about what he's doing. Our Gala used book sale is next week. Yay! We have even more books than are at the back. If you are available to help on Saturday or Sunday, you see the lovely and talented Sarah Onheim, who's sitting right over there. Wave, lovely and talented Sarah Onheim. There you go. And she, I know, hello. And she will set you up with that. People come from all over the city for this book sale. It's a really big event, and it's so fun to help people find new friends. Global March and Fossil Fuels. This is not an RUC event, but RUC members are going, and Tim is going to be playing music at this event. If you want to be part of the musical group, you can meet downstairs. Are you going to be in the gym today? Yeah. Meet in the gym today at 3 o'clock, and Tim will take you through some of the songs that are going to be sung at this march. It shows at 11 o'clock at Queen's Park. It's going to be a massive event, I think. Saturday, September 23rd at noon is the March for the Land, and our Indigenous Relations Kinship Circle is has been doing a great job promoting this. If you want to go to this, yes, Sean? I read online 23rd, no? 27th? I think Sean is right. Hello. Should we all just go home and reconvene when anything is going to work out? No, seriously. Okay. 27. Okay, forget this. But do come at noon. But you know what? Anyway, you have to register online, okay? They are asking people to register online if you're going to come. In fact, they're not disclosing the start place because they want to be sure they know who's there. It makes sense. Okay, so we'll have it in the e-news. No doubt Mac had it correct in the e-news. Christy's coming. September 30th, for sure. September 30th is National Truth and Reconciliation Day. It's a Saturday this year. We're having our 3rd annual event. We started the Peace Garden for ceremony at 4 o'clock, quarter to 4. We walk down Roncesvalles Avenue. If you have an orange shirt, wear your orange shirt. And then we end up at the church. This year, the program is a 1-hour concert with Christy Lane Sinclair, who is one of the most cutting-edge, up-and-coming Indigenous rock, folk, thoughtful, crazy dance performers. She is truly an inspiring spirit, and Christy Lane Sinclair and her band will be here, 5 o'clock, September 30th. Be here. You want to see her. Music. I'm turning it over to you, and I'm so glad, because I think you're going to get every number.
Don't cry, oh honey, please don't be that way. Clouds in the sky should never make you feel that way. The rain will bring the violets of May. Tears are rain, oh honey, please.
Thank you so much. Billy Jane. Billy Jane is going to be starting with our kids today. As I said, we also have a new kids song, which we will be unveiling next week. I'm sorry to all of those of you who love Like a Rock, okay, which is apparently only me. We have chosen something else, and we will have it for you next week. So, Billy Jane, what are you going to do with our young people today? Oh, Steve wants to be able to see on them. Oh, okay. Sure, speak up.
Today is, today is our first day of Sunday school for the season, and we are beginning to look at the theme of gratitude and to see what to be grateful for, thankful for. So I thought I would begin we would begin by looking at the church and walk around and look at all the features and what goes on in the church, and talk about about the church and what we're grateful for.
That's fantastic. So if anyone of our young people want to go out with Billy, Billy's going to stand there. Gather you up. And out you go. Hi. Hi. Nice to see you guys back. How are you? Okay, go. Have a good time. Hi. I've been doing the parables over the last few weeks. Jesus used a ton of teaching stories. And why not? Stories are a wonderful way to teach, aren't they? Because we remember the characters and the plot lines much better than if someone just tells us the theme. For everyone who says, well, the Bible is to be taken literally, that's a great way to go if that works for you. But when I was growing up, I used to always wonder, then why did Jesus talk in story and metaphor? It's because it can be very powerful. So today we're going to do the parable of the unforgiving servant, and I will tell you right up front, it is one of people's least favorite parables, but I think there's tremendous wisdom for us here. So Bob Gould is going to come up and read us the unforgiving servant. Thank you so much, Bob.
So as explained, this is the parable of the unforgiving servant. I'm going to be reading from Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 18, verses 21 to 35. Then Peter came to Jesus and said to him, Lord, if another member of the church sins against me, how often should I forgive? As many as 7 times. Jesus said to him, not 7 times, but I tell you 77 times. For this reason, the kingdom of heaven may be compared to a king who wished to settle accounts with his slaves. When he began the reckoning, one who owed him 10,000 talents was brought to him. And as he could not pay, his Lord ordered him to be sold together with his wife and children and all his possessions, and payment to be made. So the slave fell on his knees before him, saying, have patience with me, and I will pay you everything. And out of pity for him, the Lord of that slave released him and forgave him the debt. But that same slave, as he went out, came upon one of his fellow slaves who owed him 100 denarii. And seizing him by the throat, he said, pay what you owe. Then his fellow slave fell down and pleaded with him, have patience with me and I will pay you. But he refused, and he went and threw him into prison until he should pay the debt. When his fellow slaves saw what had happened, they were greatly distressed, and they went and reported to their Lord all that had taken place. Then his Lord summoned him and said to him, you wicked slave, I forgave you all that debt because you pleaded with me. Should you not have had mercy on your fellow slave as I had mercy on you? And in anger his Lord handed him over to be tortured until he should pay his entire debt. so my heavenly Father will also do to every one of you if you do not forgive your brother or sister from your heart.
Anyone cottoning on why this is not a very popular parable? Well, let's see if we can read. Got it. It's never the place. Okay. So, who likes to keep lists? Yeah, we got some list keepers here. For those who are list keepers, is it not the most satisfying thing in the whole world to be able to do this? I know, you do checks, I do lines. I do entire lines. Done, done, done. And I kind of cheat with my lists because I will always put on things like when my kids were young, have something unexpected and catastrophic happen so nothing else on the list gets done. Or now it is watch way more Netflix than I had planned to, just so I have something to, do at the end of the day. Something that gets to stroke them out, right? We keep lists, some of us, because it gives us a sense of control, because we think we will then remember the things that are important. So many of us who don't keep paper lists, material lists, keep other kinds of lists, don't we? We keep lists in our minds. Sometimes we keep lists in our hearts. Those kinds of lists can have a much bigger scope than just what we want to get done today. For instance, most of us have a list of regrets, things we wish we had done in our lives. Some of us have a super good list, which is things that we're glad that we did in our life, but that's not one that I find that we revisit nearly often enough. And many of us have a list of people who, should we get to be God for 10 minutes, are going to be gone. Gone. Like, just need to be picked up off the face of the earth and sent somewhere else. Okay? Bad. Kind of like the end of this parable, right? Torture? Okay, fine, yeah, that's the way we have to go, not my rules, right? But most of us have in our minds a list of people who have hurt us, either very badly or in small ways, let us down, betrayed us, made us feel bad about ourselves. And that's not a list that we're always even aware of, to the extent that I find that sometimes if I am reacting to someone who's in front of me, it's because I'm comparing or remembering in the back of my mind another person on that list who I think did the same thing. That list of who has hurt us is a list that we carry, though we sometimes, as I say, don't even realize it. So it is no wonder to me that every spiritual leader, guide, teacher in all of history addresses the idea of forgiveness. Forgiveness. Forgiveness, as we're taught in that parable, or usually as that parable is interpreted, is something we're supposed to do for other people. Well, we're going to talk about that today, but we're going to talk about it not only in terms of what Jesus... Is that not a totally hunky picture of Jesus? Who would follow this man for 3 years? Even me. Okay? And Rumi. Some of us went to the Rumi exhibit at the Aga Khan this week. Rumi was a Middle Eastern sage, prophet, wise person. Again, you can pick any wise person, any spiritual teacher from any century, and all of them will talk about forgiveness. So I want to talk about Jesus' parable about forgiveness, but I want to use some of the things that Rumi said about it, because really they were going to exactly the same place. And I want to start with, don't be satisfied with stories, how things have gone with others. Unfold your own myth. What on earth does that have to do with forgiveness? I think as much as or more than any other story we're told in our lives, the story about what forgiveness means and how we're supposed to act when someone transgresses against us, harms us, is one of the most ingrained myths. Let's start with what forgiveness is. We think that forgiveness is somehow a get out of jail free to somebody who caused us harm. Who's ever felt like that? I cannot forgive this person because it means I'm saying what they did was okay. In what universe? In what universe would the God, the guide, the great love of this creation think that whatever someone did that hurt you was okay? That is simply not a rational concept. So if it's not a get out of jail free, if it's not saying to someone, no, it's okay, what you did was okay, which is what our ego tells us. No, you can't forgive them. You got to stay mad at them. You got to keep blaming them, right? You got to keep doing that, right? Because they don't deserve anything else. And if you don't do that, if you offer them anything else, you're letting them get off scot-free. This is a myth. This is a myth. It is a myth because we know what it does to our own souls. Who's not getting off scot-free? We're not. We're staying in the pain. We're staying in the hurt. We're staying in the anger. We're staying in what that person's issues brought into our lives. And we're taking it in. And now it's ours. It is a myth that what forgiveness means is a get out of jail free to someone else. It is a myth that forgiveness means what you did to me is okay. It is a myth that forgiveness is about the other person. Just as it's a myth that a spiritual life is something we do for other people. Spiritual growth is the most selfish thing you can ever do. Spiritual growth is about finding peace for yourself. Spiritual growth is about laying aside the anger and the blame and the shame. Spiritual growth is about being able to tell yourself who you truly are, which is the beloved, perfect Son of the Creator, however you imagine that to be. That's what spiritual growth is. It is a selfish, personal walk to peace. And isn't it wonderful that when you find that, it changes things for everyone else. But first and foremost, it's about how to live in peace yourself. So first and foremost, the truth about forgiveness is that you're doing it for yourself. It's doing it for your freedom. It's doing it for your peace of mind. You don't want to carry that person's pain anymore. You don't want to carry that person's story about who you are anymore. The myth of forgiveness is exploded when we realize that by forgiving, we free ourselves. And that's the job. That's where we're going with spiritual forgiveness. And Rumi says, unfold your own story. When I separated from my ex-husband, now ex-husband, I remember this exactly so clearly. The myth that I was given was, you are now enemies. He is now your source of disappointment. He is now your source. You can be angry with him forever, and it's okay. Everybody understands and supports you in that. That was a myth that I didn't choose. The story I wanted, the story I decided to choose for myself was, we have walked together for a reason. We would never have hurt each other if we had been wiser, more spiritually grounded. And I am grateful to the things that he taught me because this is the relationship I needed to learn them. That's how you create your own myth. How do we know when the story we've created is the story that our God, our guide, wants for us? Because it leads us to peace. Because it leads us to a sense of lightness and freedom. That's how we know we got the story right. Many of you know, to well go up this story, I officiated at my ex-husband's wedding to his second wife. It was a joyous occasion. And I had that moment of thinking, thank you, thank you, thank you for helping me choose a different story. Jesus says in a different way in the New Testament, my way is not difficult, but it is different than what the world tells you is the way. So Rumi says about forgiveness, whoops, look at me. Don't be satisfied with the stories about who you should be blaming and who you should be angry with and who it's okay to stay so upset about. Don't be okay with that. That is a myth. You can choose to let them go on their journey. Learn what they needed to teach you and be at peace. The next thing is be grateful for whoever comes because they have been sent as a guide from beyond. This is so annoying, isn't it? So annoying. We do live in a world which absolutely supports us in shame and blame these days. We see people doing things that we think are absolutely cruel, absolutely without compassion or awareness, and we think that it's okay to shame and blame them. The Dalai Lama was asked on the anniversary of 9/11 2 years ago, how do you forgive people that did this? How is that okay? And the reporter went on to say, in fact, how do you forgive the people who invaded your country, sent you into exile, killed so many of your countrymen? How do you forgive them? And the Dalai Lama said, well, war is obsolete, which is a bit of a joke, I think. Wishful thinking. But then he went on to say, I cannot take in and hold the anger that is brought to my doorstep, or I will have it in my house as well. What he was saying was he needed to use what happened to learn to teach others, in his case, about the importance of forgiveness, the importance of living with those who do what we would not wish. He does not say it's okay. But what he says is, if we take that into our own house, as I said, if we make that our story, we cannot bring to a world that needs peace an unpeaceful heart and expect it to change. The Dalai Lama said this about those who invaded his country, and we have felt it about those who are speaking in ways that are unacceptable to our terms of compassion now. The idea is, whoever comes into your life is here for a reason. That doesn't mean you have to be their best friend. It certainly doesn't mean that you have to condone or allow what they are trying to do. It doesn't mean that. That's another one of those myths about forgiveness. If I forgive you, I have to be your best friend. If I forgive you, it means you're okay. That's not true. What it means is, you're here for a reason. I want to know what that reason is. I want to learn from that reason. And I do not want to take in whatever issues and anger and stuff you have. And I am not going down the road of shame and blame, because I want to live in peace. I want to share peace. And I can only do that if I see you as having been sent to me for a reason. That's a tough one. It's not an easy one. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field, and I'll meet you there. When I first saw this, I thought it applied to relationships between people. I mean, this is our spiritual lab, right? Relationships between people. It's no wonder that in Matthew, that Bob read, Jesus starts the parable in response to Matthew asking, what do I do to have peace among people in a church? I think that is hysterically funny, right? Well, first of all, it wasn't a church. They're all Jewish. But what can I do to have, peace with people who are in a shul? And we get that, don't we? We come into a church. We go to an AA group. We go to a meditation group. We expect it to be filled with people who are enlightened, right? And compassionate and get it right all the time. And that is not what happened. And some people become so disillusioned. This is a spiritual lab. We stay in community, we stay in commitment to each other because we know that that is how we work through the things that will bring us further, bring us spiritual growth, bring us peace. We stay committed. Now, you don't have to stay committed to people who are actively hurting you. You can take steps back. That's the smart thing to do. But what we don't want to do is push away anyone thinking that they have no reason to be in our lives. So I don't think this means actually right doing and wrong doing in people. But again, we get that. Wouldn't we love that idea with someone we disagree with, to be able to step beyond ideas of who's right and who's wrong into that field that Rumi talks about, where we can talk as people instead. But I kind of think that maybe this means us and our spiritual guide. Our spiritual guide understands that we are very prone to saying, but this person did this and that person did this and I am right or I am wrong sometimes. I am wrong, I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Our spiritual guide knows that we get very stuck in that space of right and wrong and who's right and wrong, and if we're right and wrong, we get stuck in that space. And it's our spiritual guide that says, let's go past that. Let's put that aside. Let's come out to this open space where I can talk to you about how this can translate into love in your life and how you are deserving of love in your life and how you are profoundly made of my love and light. You know, that's another thing that every spiritual teacher talks about. They talk about not how, wow, you can't be me, you can't do what I do, but that every one of us has within us everything we need to live as Jesus did, to live as Rumi did, to understand the world as Buddha did. When people came to Buddha and said, how can you be so peaceful? How can you have this light that glows and that frees the people around you to find their own light? Are you a magician? Are you a wizard? Are you a god? Buddha said, no, I'm simply awake. Awake to the illusion of separation. Awake to the illusion of unworthiness. Awake to the illusion of forgiveness is something we withhold until someone deserves it. Awake to the idea that anyone else gets providence over the peace that we carry in our heart. Awake to the idea that we are beloved and perfect children of God, and nothing we could have done or said or messed up or had done to us changes that. When we can find our way to go into that field where right and wrong is not quite as important as how do I use this to learn to love and be loved and share love, that's when our spiritual guide is able to teach us. When we're ready to say, I'm ready to lay down the shame and blame. Light a fire with love within your soul and burn these thoughts and words from head to toe. When I read these words, it reminds me how Jesus said the kingdom of God is within you. But we also know that we need help experiencing that, being that, accessing that in our lives. And I love this quote because it reminds me that however angry I am, however blaming I am, whether it's at someone else or myself, which is often the case, I want to ask God to simply take the light of love within me and burn up those emotions, those feelings, that myth that I am lesser or separate. Burn that up through my whole being. And let me instead write your story, God, guide, of being love, your love in this world. I love that idea. I need help. I need to ask it to be burned up in me like a flame. So what does this mean about the parable? Well, Jesus is talking about people who intentionally wanted to be good with each other and failed. And so we get that. We get that. We want to be good with each other and ourselves, and we fail. And Jesus is talking about how this extraordinary power, this would have been so unexpected for people to hear, the idea that someone with all of the power in the world favored forgiveness, favored understanding, favored compassion. The ruler of the universe, okay? The ruler of our minds, if we choose, favors compassion, favors forgiveness, would have been absolutely unbelievable to people. But then it goes on to show our very humanness, that we don't believe it, or we don't privilege it, or we don't accept it. We don't accept the idea that we are loved and compassionately held by this universe, that no one can do or say anything, including ourselves, that changes that. We are like the servant who then goes out and says, oh, but with this person, This person is not God's love. This person is not a divine spark. This person I have to deal with. This person is a problem. This person I cannot ask to take with my guide out to that field beyond right and wrong. This person I have to blame. This person, including ourselves. You get where I'm going with this? That servant did what we did. He simply fell asleep again, Buddha would say. He was no longer awake to the world of compassion he lived in. It's a very human parable. And at the end, when they get brought back and the king says, well, you're going to burn in hell, that's exactly what happens to us. Those fires of love that we could have become the fires of shame, of blame, of anger, of separation that we use to create a hell in our own lives. Forgiveness is the key. So what do we do with that list of people that harmed us, people that hurt us, people that did the things that we still carry with us, even in the moments we're not aware of it? You keep it. You honor it. You ask to see it. You refer to it. You work with it. You look for the lessons in it. You don't bring it forward in your life as a place that you failed. You don't bring it forward in your life as a place where life was not right for you. You don't bring it forward in your life with shame or blame of other people. You bring it forward. You sit in that field with your God, with your guide, however you say, and you say, I'm ready to look at the list. And I'm ready to move forward in the places that you know I can do now. And I am ready with this name, or this name, or this name, or this instance, or this circumstance, to give it to the fires of love so that it can be burned in me from head to toe and used by me for a richer life with others and brought by me as compassion into the world. That list is not a millstone. It is a gift in our lives. But only when we use it as our list to bring to our God and guide. Because we can't do it ourselves, and we're not meant to. And how many times does Jesus say we're likely to fail? How many times will we again have to address forgiveness in the world? Well, our Jewish brothers and sisters have a fantastic system. They say if you ask someone forgiveness and you truly mean it, if you ask them 3 times and they won't forgive you, it's okay, you're done, God's forgiven you. Jesus, who was a Jew, says, you know what? You may have to address this 77 times. You may have to address this over and over before you're truly ready to write your new story, before you're truly ready to accept what this person brought into your life that you can now use, before you are truly ready to have this burned up in the fire of love so that when you sit with me in this field, we can say, and that's how this makes me better and more peaceful and more loving and more fulfilled, and my truest self in this universe. It's a selfish thing to do to keep that list and refer to that list. But anyone on a spiritual path should be rightly selfish. We are here to learn to walk in peace in ourselves. And then how wonderful it is that reaches out through us into the world and maybe help someone else take out their list and hold it up and say, my God, my guide, I want to walk in peace. Which name should we start with? Thanks be to God. Now we're going to take a moment for spiritual silence. Spend your time. Oh gosh. See, I have to forgive myself so many times today. You know, this is not an accident, right? Well, I want to get it right. You know, that's on my list. Take a moment, spend time with your God, your guide, however you know your spiritual presence in the world, and ask what you're meant to hear today. We're just going to take about 30 seconds.
Every week, this place does offer love to the world in so many ways. I've often done ways we love the world, but, spoiler alert, I already did this. Today, I want to offer a quote of the week, and I'll try and do this a few times this week. This is a quote from one of our meal guests, an absolutely amazing light in the world. When you give to RUC, when you help with the work here in any way, with your time, with your treasure, with your talent, you're helping people like this live in a different way. So we're going to take our morning off now, and here's some music.
That wasn't the music.
I'm confessing that I love you. Tell me, do you love me too? I'm confessing that I need you. Honest, I do. I need you every moment. In your eyes I read such strange things, but your lips deny they're true. Will your answer really change things, making me blue? I'm afraid someday you'll leave me, saying, can't we still be friends? If you know when you go you grieve me, all in life on you depends and depends. I'm confessing that I love you, dreaming dreams of you in vain. Oh, I'm confessing that I love you over again. I'm afraid someday you'll leave me, saying, can't we still be friends? If you go, you know you'll grieve me. All in life on you depends. Am I guessing that you love me, dreaming dreams of you in vain? I'm confessing that I love you over again. I'm confessing that I love you over again, over again.
These are the prayers of the people. Please pray with me. God, by whatever name we call you and however we experience you in our individual lives, we ask a blessing on everyone suffering from the effect of the earthquake in Morocco and all other natural disasters or the effects of climate change. We know that it's when crisis strikes that human beings are often at our best. Help us to be courageous, generous, and compassionate. We ask a blessing on all first responders and aid workers everywhere. We say a prayer for the 2S LGBTQ+ whose rights and safety and dignity are up for question in so many places. May who we are not be up for debate. Help those in power to remember we are all loved and part of God's world. We ask a blessing today on Marie, Diane. We ask for clarity for Bettina and for Megan and her family as their grandmother is passing. Let them feel that their friend Jennifer is thinking of them. We ask a blessing on Jade, on Margot as she prepares for her move to Peterborough, for everyone encountering change. Bless Linda and Sid as they travel today to Ireland, and Jeanette and Tim who are leaving for Europe. We ask a blessing on these places as RUC begins another busy year. Help us continue to be a beacon of inclusive love in our neighborhood. And we ask you to be with everyone who is marching next Saturday in support of the people of Grassy Narrows. God, guide, divine spirit, who we meet and know more fully in the life and teaching of Jesus. Thank you for all of the wisdom and teachings, and especially for the love you kindle in each of our hearts. And lastly, for Martin and Tracy, for strength, hope, and love, may you be surrounded in healing energy. Amen.
Go online to get the correct place and date for Grassy Narrows March. Please stand for our benediction. You are a beloved child of God. You were meant to be here. You are a fire of love. You are a fountain of compassion. You are perfect as you are. May the love of God, may the guidance of our teacher Jesus Christ, may the fellowship and communion of the Holy Spirit rest and abide upon us now and forever. Amen. Let's do our three-part amen. We're going to get sung out with a little music. You guys can sit or go quietly if you have to, and after that, have a great week. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Des yeux qui font baiser les miens, un rire qui se perd sur sa bouche. Voilà